Guys, welcome back to the channel. Your daily source for real one and no nonsense NFL updates. If you are someone who lives and breathes football, you are in the right place. Here's we don't do fake hype or clickbait and breathe only real stories, smarter breakdowns and the real moves that actually matter. Right now, something big is happening around the Philadelphia Eagles, and trust me, this is the kind of updates that could change everything. So make sure you stay logged in because what you are about to hear might just surprise you. Okay, let's go on the.
The Philadelphia Eagles are standing at a massive crossroads right now, and the entire NFL world is watching to see what Howie Roseman does next. The situation surrounding star wide receiver A.J. Brown has escalated from a quiet off-season whisper into a full-blown headline, making dilemma that could completely alter the trajectory of this franchise. We are looking at a scenario that very few people saw coming just a few months ago, especially after that devastating Super Bowl loss, where Brown was seen emotionally distraught on the sideline. When you look at the core of this issue, it is not just about football stats or salary cap numbers. It is about the philosophical direction of an organization that has always prided itself on a ruthless business-first approach. A.J. Brown is not just any player, he is the absolute engine of this passing game, a physical freak who demands double teams and opens up the entire field for Jalen Hurts. But the whispers of a potential trade are not coming from nowhere. They are rooted in the very real mechanics of how the Eagles build their rosters and how they manage their finite resources. To understand the gravity of this potential decision, we have to look closely at the financial tightrope the Eagles are currently walking. Philadelphia is staring down the barrel of some massive contract extensions, most notably the impending mega deal for defensive tackle Jordan Davis, which is going to reset the market for interior defensive linemen. When you factor in the lucrative deals already handed out to Hurts, Lane Johnson, and the investments made in the secondary, the salary cap space begins to evaporate rapidly. A.J. Brown is currently carrying a massive cap hit over the next few seasons, and while his on-field production absolutely justifies that number in a vacuum, football is never played in a vacuum. The Eagles front office has to ask themselves if paying a number one wide receiver top-tier money aligns with their ultimate goal of winning another Super Bowl, or if that money is better spent fortifying the trenches and the defense, which has always been the true identity of this team. This is the classic Howie Roseman dilemma, sacrificing elite talent at one position to maintain elite depth across the entire roster. Then you have the emotional and psychological fallout from the Super Bowl that simply cannot be ignored. The image of A.J. Brown sitting alone on the bench, clearly frustrated and disconnected from his teammates, sparked a wildfire of speculation about his happiness in Philadelphia. While Brown has always been a competitor who wears his emotions on his sleeve, the sheer magnitude of that loss seemed to hit him differently. There have been reports, some more credible than others, suggesting that there is a level of frustration with how the offense is orchestrated, particularly in high-pressure moments. When a player of his caliber feels like he is not being utilized to his maximum potential in the biggest games, it naturally leads to questions about long-term compatibility. If Brown goes to the front office and expresses genuine doubts about his role or his future in Philadelphia, Roseman has historically shown that he will not hesitate to pull the trigger on a trade, regardless of how popular the player is with the fan base. Let us talk about the actual trade value of A.J. Brown, because that is what makes this dilemma so fascinating. If the Eagles were to make him available, the phone lines would melt. We are talking about a player who is universally recognized as a top 5 wide receiver in the National Football League, still in the prime of his career. A team, like the Chargers, who are desperate to give Justin Herbert a true alpha number 1 target, would absolutely empty the vault to acquire Brown. The same goes for the Bears, if they decide Caleb Williams needs more help, or the Patriots under a new regime looking for a franchise cornerstone. The return package would likely include at least one first-round pick and potentially multiple high-value selections that could immediately help the Eagles replenish their defensive line or add a high-end cornerback. The temptation to flip an expensive asset into a goldmine of cheap rookie talent is exactly the kind of move that keeps Howie Roseman awake at night, and it is a strategy he has mastered throughout his tenure. However, moving a player like A.J. Brown comes with an inherent risk that could completely backfire and derail the Eagles' championship window. Jalen Hurts took a noticeable step backward this past season, and while there were many factors involved, the undeniable truth is that Hurts thrives when he has a security blanket like Brown on the outside. Without Brown, the Eagles' receiving core instantly becomes a massive question mark. Devonta Smith is an incredible route runner and a phenomenal talent, but asking him to suddenly become the undisputed #1 receiver against elite defenses changes the entire dynamic of the offense. The younger receivers on the roster have shown flashes, but are nowhere near ready to take on the volume of targets that Brown commands. Trading Brown could severely limit Hurts' ability to push the ball downfield, turning an offense that was once feared into a predictable horizontal dink and dunk attack that defenses can easily neutralize. We also have to consider the message that trading A.J. Brown would send to the rest of the locker room. The Eagles have spent the last few years trying to build a culture of toughness, accountability, and brotherhood. Brown is one of the undisputed vocal leaders of this team, a player who sets the tone in practice and in the weight room. When you trade away a guy who leaves absolutely everything on the field every single Sunday, it can create a subtle but dangerous fracture in the trust between the players and the front office. Other star players might start looking over their shoulders, wondering if they will be next on the chopping block the moment their salary becomes inconvenient. In a league where player empowerment is at an all-time high, making a purely financial decision to move a beloved leader can make Philadelphia a less desirable destination for future free agents who want to know that the organization is loyal to its core guys. The counter-argument to all of this, and the one that Howie Roseman likely leans on, is that sentimentality does not win championships. The New England Patriots proved this for 2 decades by moving on from legendary players a year or two too early rather than a year too late. If the Eagles' brain trust looks at the tape from the Super Bowl and decides that the offense, as currently constructed, is fundamentally flawed against elite defenses, they might view a Brown trade not as a step back, but as a necessary reset. They could use the draft capital to move up and select a generational defensive talent, or they could trade back, accumulate picks, and completely remake the secondary. It is a high-risk, high-reward gamble that relies on the assumption that Hurts can elevate his game without his favorite target, and that the coaching staff can design an offense that masks the loss of Brown elite separation skill. Looking at the broader landscape of the NFL right now, the wide receiver market is incredibly volatile. We have seen massive contracts handed out to players who have not produced nearly at the level of A.J. Brown, which ironically makes Brown more valuable to the Eagles than he would be on the open market, because his contract is actually team-friendly compared to the deals being signed by guys like Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb. This financial reality makes a trade slightly less likely because the Eagles are getting premium production at a slight discount to the current market rate. But this is the NFL, and situations can change in an instant based on a single conversation in the war room. If Brown Camp pushes for a restructuring or an extension that guarantees even more money at the back end of the deal, the Eagles might quickly pivot from keeping him to exploring all their options. The media narrative surrounding the situation is only going to intensify as we get deeper into the offseason. Every time A.J. Brown posts something on social media or skips an optional workout, the rumor mill is going to go into overdrive. The local beat reporters in Philadelphia are going to be dissecting every single quote from Nick Sirianni and Hawaii Roseman, looking for any hidden meaning or subtle clue about the future of the receiving corps. Fans are going to be split right down the middle, with one side demanding that the team keeps its best playmaker at all costs, and the other side trusting the process and believing that Roseman knows exactly what he is doing. This kind of polarizing debate is exactly what makes the NFL offseason so compelling. But for the players and coaches involved, it is an unwanted distraction that they must navigate carefully. Ultimately, this decision is going to define the Hawaii Roseman legacy in Philadelphia. He is already revered as one of the best executives in the game, but trading away a homegrown superstar like A.J. Brown would be a move that he would have to own for the rest of his career. If he trades Brown, gets a massive haul, and the Eagles win the Super Bowl the following year, he will be hailed as a genius who had the guts to make the unthinkable move. But if he trades Brown, the offense sputters, and Hurts regresses further, it will go down as one of the most catastrophic decisions in franchise history, a move that permanently closed a championship window. The pressure is immense, the stakes are incredibly high, and there is no middle ground. The Eagles are on the clock, and the decision they make regarding A.J. Brown will send shockwaves throughout the entire league, setting the tone for the next 5 years of football in Philadelphia.
So, and what's a wrap for today's update? If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more real straight to the point coverage of the NFL, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turns on notification so you never miss the what's coming next. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think this move makes the Philadelphia Eagles ever more dangerous this season, or is there still something missing? I read your takes and they shape what we do, what we talk about next. Thanks for watching. Stay smart, stay hydrated, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching, and share this video. Thanks so much.